You are with the big story here. I'm Seher Zama. We're making a start with developments that have come in from Andhra Pradesh, where the cabinet has now approved a bill which is to abolish the upper house of the state assembly there, which is the Legislative Council. The bill that has now been introduced in the assembly, discussion which is underway. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Jagan Reddy making a statement here regarding the issue in the assembly on Thursday, where he's asked whether there is really a need to have a legislative council. The Chief Minister there also said that 60 crores that were spent every year to run the council sessions, which he said has been a heavy burden on the state and also a heavy burden on the exchequer. We should remember here that the Legislative Council, which had blocked Jagan government's 3 capital bill very recently. In the wake of that development, this is once again a need that is being expressed that AP, Andhra Pradesh, needs to be done away with the Legislative Council.
Jagan Mohan Reddy garu, the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, when he introduced a bill in the Assembly creating separate commissions for SCs and STs, they opposed it. When he introduced a bill for introducing English medium schools in the state, they are not in a position to support it. They hesitated. They sent it back. It clearly shows that the members of the Legislative Council are working against the interest of the state and working against the interest of the public. When the salaries are paid from public money, when they are not working in accordance with the public requirements, so it is the time to think whether it is required or not.
The inherent intention, rather hidden agenda of the government might be to take a decision, rather to pass a resolution in order to dissolve the AP Legislative Council, since Legislative Council did not accept the resolution, passed the bills relating to CRDA and also capitals, decentralization of 3 capitals. Simply because the bill is sent to select committee by the Honorable Chairman of Legislative Council, the government is not supposed to annoy, and government is expected to maintain the balance and follow the principles of democracy under the values of the Constitution. Unfortunately, the AP government has taken an abnormal decision that they wanted to discuss in the House, and ultimately they may pass it. The leaders of their party and also one of the cabinet minister has given an indication that they are going to pass a resolution to dissolve the Legislative Council. It is quite unfortunate.
Let's get in further inputs. We have these details with our correspondent Paul with those inputs here. Paul, this is something which is now being discussed as we speak. The timing of this undoubtedly is going to be questioned, which comes very close on the heels of one of the chief minister's dream bills to have a 3 capital center, which was not passed, which was being seen as an impediment in the Legislative Council, which was sent back. That is why the timing of this would be questioned. But why is the TDP here calling it unconstitutional?
Well, this is not the first time that abolishing of the Legislative Council is being discussed. Way back during NTR's time, it was abolished, and during YSR's time, that is the father of Jagan Mohan Reddy, it was revived again. So now what we are seeing is an attempt by the Jagan Mohan Reddy government to abolish the council. And there's an interesting video that was played in the Andhra Pradesh Assembly right now, a couple of minutes ago, wherein the YSRCP has played a video of Chandrababu Naidu discussing and speaking about abolishing that particular council, saying it is an additional expense and all the bills are getting delayed. Interestingly, that has come back a complete U-turn, because today Chandrababu Naidu is against abolishing of the council. So a lot of interesting points to be looked into. Not one but several bills in the recent past have hit a hurdle because the YSRCP does not have the adequate numbers in the Legislative Council. Out of 175, it has a comfortable majority, that is 151 YSRCP has in the Legislative Assembly, whereas when it comes to the council, they have only 9 out of the 58
but Paul, as you
number of
mentioned,
seats, which means it is a minority. So any bill that is comfortably... Go on, sir.
Absolutely. That is how these numbers are becoming a challenge there for the Chief Minister. But Paul, as you mentioned, that Andhra Pradesh has in the past gone through this flip-flop, whether or not a legislative council that needs to function in the state. But the last time, during NTR's time, as you just mentioned, the reason that was given out was that this is a burden, this is a waste of taxpayers' money here. We don't need an LC. What is the reason being given by today's government? Is it the same argument along the same lines?
Two main reasons here. One is expenditure. They're saying a huge amount is incurred by the government to run the legislative council. That is number one. And the second one is delaying of bills. I can name at least 4 bills in the recent past with the legislative assembly had comfortably passed because of the majority of the YSRCP. One is the SC and ST separate commissions bill, comfortably passed in the assembly, blocked or delayed in the council. The second one is English medium government schools, comfortably passed in the assembly, blocked by the council. The third and the fourth is the recent ones of repealing of the CRD, which is the Capital Region Development Authority, and also the 3 capital bill. Both of them passed comfortably again in the assembly, but sent to a select committee in the council. So they are seeing several decisions taken by the Jagan Mohan Reddy government being passed in one house, but when it comes to the upper house, it's being blocked. Yes, again, it will be sent back to the assembly. It is a longer procedure. Things they could have done immediately is being prolonged for a very long period of time. So what is the solution that the government has thought of? Simply abolish the legislative council. People are debating about this because in a democracy, you need the opposition to question, to debate, to have a healthy discussion about any kind of bill that's brought about. But in this particular case, will that happen if the council is abolished? Like I said, Chandrababu Naidu way back in 2004 supporting the abolition of the council, but now today speaking against the abolition of council. Very interesting that particular video is, sir.
Absolutely. Paul, stay on with us. Please stay on with us. Let's get in a word here from the ruling party in government there. We have Mr. Ravichandra Reddy of the YSRCP. Mr. Ravichandra Reddy, thank you for being with us. The timing of this is being seen with suspicion because you feel that the Legislative Council has been an impediment to a lot of flagship projects of the state government, which is why today you want to do away with the Legislative Council.
Actually, what actually happening is Legislative Council is not behaving according to rules. Every council, or it may be assembly, the speaker or the chairman of Legislature Council has to guide the members to follow the rules. But whereas in Legislative Council, chairman he himself, he said categorically that no rule will come under this category. But even though I am passing and I am sending this bill to select committee with my consciousness, when no rule is applicable at all, to send it to select committee, how a chairman can abolish all the rules and say with his consciousness he is sending to select committee itself is the biggest mistake ever it happened in Andhra Pradesh history. So, whereas one thing is, as our reporter said earlier, one thing is clear, where actually important bills with 2/3 and more than that majority out of 175, 151 people resolution passing in assembly also, they are not accepting the bills and they are stalling the bills. After that,
all right, Mr. Reddy, we get your point. We get your point. Please stay with us. Please stay with us because it's important we get in a response from the TDP because you've levied this allegation here. Mr. Pattabai Ram Komar Reddy, thank you for being with us. The TDP here is being accused of politically using the Legislative Council against the government and a lot of flagship bills. Your response to that, which is why the YSRCP has decided to do away with the Legislative Council.
Ma'am, good afternoon. See, you will be surprised to know, ma'am, that in the history of our country, a chief minister is trying to abolish a house or a council just because a particular bill is being sent to the people to know their opinions. Have you ever heard any chief minister trying to abolish a house just
But
because
Mr.
the bill is being
Reddy,
sent to the
when
public.
Mr.
Let
NTR
me
did
finish.
this in 1985,
I'll tell you.
how was it acceptable
See,
then? Only because
I'll tell you.
reasons were different?
See, there's a lot of difference. There's a huge lot of difference between these two incidents. When Mr. NTR abolished the council, then the scenario was the council then was trying to control the media, trying to, misuse their powers to control the media. They were trying to summon media personnel, media journalists, and media houses to council unnecessarily. They were trying to suppress the media. That is the reason why, media is the fourth estate. Media should be given certain freedom. Media cannot be controlled by parliament. So when the council then was trying to control the media, just to save the media from media suppression, NTR then abolished the house with the consent of the then Prime Minister, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. Mr. Rajiv Gandhi had allowed the bill to pass in the parliament then. So it was with the concurrence of the parliament then. So there's a lot of difference. Now what is happening
Mr. Reddy, let's talk about today and the impact of this and how the TDP stand. Mr. Reddy, the TDP stand historically has also changed. Earlier, when there was a revival of the Legislative Council decades after 1985, the TDP was against
Madam, will you allow me to finish my
Today,
point
you're on the other side
your,
of the fence.
Your question. See, just allow me to finish my point before, putting further questions to me. See, the scenario today is because people of this country should know how a, fool Tughlaq Chief Minister is behaving. Today, just because a particular bill, the bill of the capital, decentralization of the capital, is being sent to the public through a select committee. What does the select committee do? It takes back the bill to the people to know their opinions. Is there anything wrong to know people's opinions on a particular bill? Is it a crime in a democracy?
No, there is nothing wrong in that. But Mr. Reddy, if the TDP in the past, in the past has maintained that the Legislative Council is no good, how is it important to you today?
See, let us talk about today's scenario. First you should accept that you yourself had said that there is nothing wrong if a bill is taken to the people. Then why is Mr. Jagan Reddy so worried when a particular bill is being taken back to the people to know their people's opinion? Why is he so worried? Why is he trying to stall the process? See, a select committee only takes about 3 months. Why is he in such a hurry? Can't he wait?
No, but Mr. Reddy, that doesn't answer our question here, please. The TDP has also changed its stand as far as the validity and the use and the purpose of the Legislative Council is concerned. No, Mr. Reddy, you're not answering this question. Today, when it suits you politically, you want to stand by the Legislative Council.
I'll answer to your first.
No, you're not. I cannot be giving you 5 minutes just for one question. There are other people here as well. Please get to the point here.
No, I'll put one simple question. Are we living in a democracy or are we living in a dictatorship? One simple question. Are we living in a democracy or dictatorship? In a democracy, people have the right to, convey their opinion.
Mr. Ravichandra Reddy, please hear me out on this question here. Multiple allegations that come in by the TDP, even though they have also historically changed their stand on the purpose and the value of the Legislative Council here. But why is the YRCP bringing up this issue today? Only because certain bills have been sent back. Why cannot these bills be rediscussed, redrafted? Yes, why cannot, Mr. Reddy, why cannot these bills be discussed and redrafted?
Discussed with the public, not in the House. Discuss with the public. Why are they so worried to go back to the people?
Mr. Ravichandra Reddy, is my voice going through, please?
You please stop to.
Do we have Mr. Ravichandra Reddy of the YSRCP?
Yes. That TDP person, what actually he is defending is vague at all, and it is not substantial. And today, a chairman of Legislature Council, he himself, if he doesn't follow the rules of the Act,
Rule 154. Rule 154. Rule 154.
No, but Mr. Reddy, this is not just about a political fight regarding this three capital theory. I would like to speak to Mr. Reddy, please. No, Mr. Reddy, please give us a breather. Mr. Reddy, this is unfair. Please give us a breather. Mr. Chandra Reddy, this has been a farmers' protest as well. There is protest against this bill even on your streets. Why is it so difficult to take that into account and redraft a bill instead of blaming the Legislative Council for this? Mr. Chandra Reddy.
Are doing the same hierarchy in council, and even chairman of that council is not following the guidelines and act it.
Array, you please answer the question.
And he is being only conscious after abolition.
Why are you so worried when the bill is taken to the
Okay,
people
absolute chaos here. I'm going to go across to my colleague Tanima, who's getting us those inputs here on how the state of Andhra Pradesh. Okay, we'll reconnect with her on that in just a bit. But let's also take in this reality into account. Now, this is a bill which has caused multiple farmers' protests. This is a bill which was passed by the Legislative Assembly, was blocked by the Legislative Council, sent back. In the wake of this circumstance, we now have the Chief Minister asking for the Legislative Council to be abolished altogether. Paul, our correspondent who's been getting us all of these details here. Paul, this is also an indicator that the government does not want to revisit certain bills in the face of multiple people's and farmers' protests as well. And it thinks that abolishing a legislative council could perhaps be that shortcut. Would it be fair to call it that?
Well, sir, political analysts are saying this is the easier way out. Just like we asked TDP the question about how they're taking an opposite stand today. NTR had abolished it, but today Naidu is actually questioning it. The same way Jagan Mohan Reddy's father had revived it. YSR had revived it, and his son today is abolishing it. So both contradicting views from both TDP and YSRCP. Of course, that time it was United Andhra Pradesh. But it is interesting. We have to hold them accountable. They have to answer why a debate is not needed in a democracy, because the House, the parliamentarians at the center and the legislators at the state level are the ones who should be debating, discussing a bill. Even today, in fact, TDP should be questioned because it was a 3-day session. Just because the government decided to extend it for 5 days, that is, today is the 5th day, the 4th and the 5th day has been boycotted by the TDP. Why is it that TDP legislators can't be inside the House, debate about this particular bill, show that show a debate and discuss and show their point of view conveyed through the votes? Why is it that they have to boycott and then be in a huddle in the party office? So several questions being raised as to what is right, what is wrong. Is this the right way forward? Because just because a couple of bills have been delayed, just because the government's point of view has not been implemented, because of few hurdles that have come in the way of passing a bill, abolishing the Legislative Council, is that the solution, is what a lot of people are asking. However, like you asked before, what the government is stating is the excessive amount that is being spent by the government. It is an additional burden. So the cash trap states that it is more sensible to abolish the House. One, because of expenses. Second, bills can be passed much faster. Like, for example, the 3 capital bill, if it wasn't for the council that discussed it and sent it to the select committee, it would have been passed now, and Andhra Pradesh would have had 3 capitals, including the English medium schools. If that was not blocked by the council, all government schools would have had English medium schools by now. So what they are trying to say is that it is delaying the process of development, because these bills usually have development in the mind. That is the main aim, that is the main goal of all these bills. So in case there is a council and because they have a minority, it is blocking. So what we should be asking the parties is that why this stand? Once you're in opposition, you have a stand. When you're in government, you have an alternate stand. Both YSRCP and the TDP should be asked this question, sir.
Right. Also, Paul, this is not the final stop to this. There's still a long way to go. This is something that has been pushed in the Legislative Assembly, but eventually it would be for the central government here to decide on this, to give that final call. What are the other stops on the way to make this happen?
Well, they have 151 seats out of the 175 in the Legislative Assembly. This particular bill is expected to be passed today itself, sir. It will be comfortably passed, and then it will go to the Legislative Council, where they will have to discuss and debate that. What will be interesting is that this bill, even after it is passed, will have to be sent to the Home Ministry, wherein the centre will have to take a call about this. And only if the centre agrees, they will introduce it as a bill in the Parliament. So it will be interesting to watch once the state government has done all that it can to abolish the upper house. It is the center that has to agree with the state in principle. Like Pattabi Ram, the TDP spokesperson, was pointing out, Rajiv Gandhi back then had agreed with the reason that they had given for abolishing the upper house. But now, will the Prime Minister agree? Will the central government agree? Will the Home Ministry agree? That remains the big question, because unless they agree, this cannot be passed, and it will still remain a distant dream for Jagan Mohan Reddy. By then, a good part of his tenure will be completed. So there are several questions that needs to be answered. Also, will the central government support this particular idea of Jagan Mohan Reddy remains to be seen.
Let's in fact... Yes, in fact, we still have a representative and spokesperson from the TDP and the YSRCP. Stay on with us. I'm also getting in a third voice here, Mr. PDT Achari, who is the former Secretary General of the Lok Sabha with us. Mr. Achari, thank you for being with us. In what is happening in Andhra Pradesh today, of course, we've seen during NTR's time in the 1980s as well. But today, do you feel that this is being used far more politically? It's no longer necessarily in the name of taxpayers' money being wasted. It is evidently in the wake of several flagship bills of the state government stopped, which is why Jagan Reddy wants to do away with the LC.
See this. I do not want to get into the politics of it, because politics is always there. Whenever such a proposal comes,
yes.
it is because of a political decision taken by the government which is in office. In Andhra Pradesh also the same thing happened, might have happened. But the point is that under the Constitution of India, under Article 169, there is a procedure which needs to be followed. Hello, are you hearing me? The Assembly has to pass a resolution.
Yes,
a resolution, not
we
a
are
bill.
with you.
Pardon? Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
The Assembly has to pass a resolution, not a bill. It's not a bill. And it is only the Assembly, not the Council, that will discuss it. It's only the Assembly. And Assembly has to pass a resolution, not a bill. And the resolution has to be passed by a special majority of the total membership of the House, and also 2/3 of the members present and voting.
Right.
That is the requirement. And once the resolution is passed, it doesn't go to the Council. It's only the Assembly which passes the resolution. And after that, that resolution goes to Parliament.
Okay.
And Parliament has to make a law on this.
Right.
Parliament has to make a law, means both the houses of Parliament, the government has to introduce a bill, and that bill will have to be passed by both the houses by simple majority, like any other law. And then it has to be accepted.
All right. So there is still a long way ahead for this to happen.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Achari, appreciate you speaking with us and explaining the process here. But it's important to note that this is something now that has already taken place in the Legislative Assembly, would further move on. The next epicenter of this then, of course, shifts to the center, on what the center will decide on how valid this demand is being made by the AP government to do away, to abolish their Legislative Council altogether. Many thanks for speaking with us. Our correspondent Paul as well with those details. Appreciate all the voices that have spoken to us from the YSRCP and the TDP on this as well. We're quickly switching focus to other breaking inputs here coming in. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal slamming the BJP on Shaheen Bagh. Kejriwal, in fact, has tweeted on the issue and said that the BJP is now playing dirty politics regarding this. Well, we'll get in further inputs here on this in just a bit. This is what the Chief Minister is saying as far as the BJP is concerned. Remember, interestingly, in the build-up to the Delhi State Assembly elections, Shaheen Bagh is being much discussed. It's important here to note that the issue of CAA being a central government matter, but it is taking center stage for Delhi Assembly elections as well because of multiple protests. One such protest there, of course, being in Shaheen Bagh, which is the anti-car protest. And the Chief Minister now accusing the BJP of playing dirty politics over this protest. All right, on that note, It is a wrap on the big story here. Much more to discuss. Stay on with us.